This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Pallet, that Christian preacher that said the world was ending in 2012. Today we're taking a look at The Little Black Bag. Let's get right into it. Stop laughing at me. I can't take it anymore. Fine. I'll tell them the story again. It was October 12th, 2013. I went out looking for a high. My girlfriend had just left me for someone more stable, she said. I went straight to my normal dealer, but he didn't have anything that would get me as fucked up as I wanted to be. So he referred me to someone who had the really crazy shit. Okay, so the beginning of this is all one giant quotation, and it's from a person who is being poked and prodded into telling a story. That's interesting. I'm not sure that text is the perfect way to tell this story, but let's press on because I think it might explain that. I took the scrap of paper, called the number. The man on the other end told me where to be and when to be there. I went there when I was supposed to, with $500 in my back pocket. I emptied my bank account to get it. I just didn't care anymore. He said he had a few things and showed them to me. One was just your run-of-the-mill meth, which I didn't want. He had a couple grams of shrooms too, and a little bag of black powder. So the quotation marks are kind of all over the place here, and that's a little confusing to me, but whatever. This is something that people do. They get depressed, they spiral out of control, and they go into drug use and think that that's going to make things better. So very realistic so far. Maybe the syntax of this is just a little weird though. That's a little nagging problem. Anyway, the little black bag. I wish I never saw it, but I did, and it intrigued me. I wanted to know what was in it, and he told me it's psychobilin crystals, LSD, smiles, and a bit of something else. He wouldn't elaborate further on the something else, but he assured me that it would blow my mind. The little bag, which probably held, half a gram, cost me $400, but I took it. I took the damn little bag. That's very interesting. I like that. That it's psychobilin crystals, LSD, smiles, which I just Googled, and apparently smiles is some new designer drug. I had never heard of it. But those designer drugs are fucking danger, man. Jesus Christ. Those things are pure death. But then putting a little something else, that's cool. I like that. That is a realistic thing that a drug dealer would do. Okay, so that's danger. That's interesting. And any bizarre things that can't be accounted for could be chalked up to a bit of something else. That's good. I got home around 10 p.m. and straight away I went and got my stuff, mixed the powder and water, and plugged it in. And plugged it? I think he meant to say chugged it and it autocorrected or something. I don't know why I did it. I don't know. But I did it. And I laid down, closed my eyes, and waited. A couple of hours later, I saw him. Yeah, him. The one him. Death. The Grim Reaper. He looked at me with those eyeless sockets, and his fleshless grin drove icicles into my mind and heart. I was petrified with fear, unable to think or speak. His voice came to me in my mind. You called mortal. I will give you your one wish before I take your soul. Terror fueled me, and I panicked. My wish? I wished to never die. If it was possible. He grinned more. He nodded, as they usually do. So will you. So be it. You will never die. I fell unconscious, and I slept. Well, if you're unconscious, almost by definition you are sleeping, right? Anyway, I don't know how long I slept. I woke up, and it was dark, completely dark. I fumbled for the light, staggering across my room. My body felt weak, and I nearly fell more than once. When I found the light switch and realized it was on, I couldn't see, and the light was on. I reached for my eyes and realized with horror that they were gone. I started screaming. I screamed, and someone called 911. They took me away. They cauterized my eye sockets and cleaned them so they wouldn't get infected, and then they put me away here. They put me here, in this darkness, with him. I'm imagining that if your eyes were gone, you would, feel that your eyes were gone, that there are holes there. Anyway, I can hear him laughing. Stop fucking laughing. I can't take it. No, I won't tell the story again. No, not again. Okay, I'll tell it. Just stop laughing. The young man's parents stood outside his room and watched him, rocking back and forth in his straitjacket. His mother turned to the nurse. Do you think he'll... The nurse shook his head. I don't think so. Whatever he took, whatever he did, he really did a number on himself to scoop out his own eyes with a knife. We still don't know how he didn't die from the blood loss. Okay, so that explains why he didn't have any eyes and why they're gone, because he's just that crazy from whatever it was he took. There was a silence again outside the room as the man began to tell the story once more. And that's the end of it. And it looks, like it doesn't have accreditation to it, but there's someone in the comments that seems to be asking for improvements. So I'd assume that this is the person who wrote it, named Valindar. So good on you for wanting advice on how to improve your own story. When the Grim Reaper showed up, normally I would say that that's corny and that doesn't have a place in these kinds of stories, or even in horror in general. You have to really build up to it. But this story involves drug use and hallucinations, and a lot of the time those hallucinations come from ideas that we already have floating around in our head. So we already have this construct of the Grim Reaper in our head. So while on psychotropic drugs, that Grim Reaper would be pulled up from the recesses of your memories as an idea and possibly become real. That's the kind of thing that these drugs do, so that's not unreasonable. This is realistic in that the eye scooping out with a knifey kind of deal and the Grim Reaper and those things are like really unrelated. There is the problem of how this story is being told. This story is asking to be spoken and done in audio format because the ending and the beginning don't kind of mesh up with the rest of the story. It's tense shifting, it's narrator shifting, and we're not getting a good sense of who's speaking. And it's written in a way that is designed to be spoken, with a bunch of stutters and ellipses and those kinds of things are asking to be spoken and acted aloud. So perhaps this story isn't suited for the medium that it is being presented in. I would say that there probably needs to be more vivid imagery to go along with the tripping with the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is fine. I would probably build to the Grim Reaper. I would probably have a few more images to present with the drugs. Like, what other images would you see? I know that Dave Chappelle has a great bit about him thinking that taking shrooms will be like taking marijuana. When he takes it, he thinks that it's going to be like marijuana where it's some background shit, as he puts it. But then he tries to go about his day after taking shrooms, and then the shrooms are like fucking making him hallucinate and shit. And he goes to the barber, and the barber has giant scissors. That's the kind of vivid imagery and storytelling that I would like to see here. But we're not kind of getting the full potential of what you could write while on psychotropic drugs, the kind of things that you would see. So I would like to see a bit more adventure in that regard. Overall, this story doesn't pack a giant punch to it, but I think it's really serving its purpose. It just needs something to really set it apart here. Above par, really good attempt. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that our narrator's author's probably on the younger side, but I really like the story. I think it is promising. And I imagine that the next story that this author writes is going to be better than this one, that they're going to make self-improvements because they're asking for improvements. And that's a really big deal. Anyway, let me know what you think of the story in the comments, and tell me how you think that the story could be improved. Anyway, let's move on to our sponsor for the day, which is the Dead Serious Playlist. The Dead Serious Playlist. Let it run and go play a video game.